Manchester United have been awful at set pieces for years. I mean, really awful. But that could be about to change. United are on the verge of hiring a new set-piece specialist to complete Erik Ten Hag's coaching team. Now let me explain to you everything you need to know about Andreas Georgson and why United think he could be the man to fix our set-piece problems. We all know how bad Manchester United have been at set-pieces for a long old time. Even when we had Erik Ramsey from Chelsea, who was supposed to be a set-piece specialist. I don't exactly work out. Anyway, Manchester United are on the verge of bringing in Andreas Georgson, who is currently a manager out in Norway. Who is he? What's he actually going to do? Watch this video. In the next 10 minutes, you'll know everything you need to know about him and why he might just be that marginal gain sort of appointment that Dave Brailsford would love, that may well be worth a few points for United and a few goals in the league. And every little helps. In terms of where United were last season in set pieces, conceded 20% of our goals in the league from set pieces. Conceded 14 goals, ranked 7th in the league. Only 6 teams were worse than us from set pieces in terms of conceding goals. And we only scored 9. Only 5 teams were worse than us from scoring. We weren't enough of a threat going forward. We conceded way too many. We're rubbish at them. We need somebody in, and maybe somebody like Andreas Georgson. Now, the reports have come from Norway that Manchester United are on the verge of appointing him as a set-piece specialist. So what I've done is a bit of a deep dive looking into his career path so we can actually understand, is it actually going to make any difference, Sam? I really think it can. I really think it can. United are kind of falling behind a trend that's happened, which I can show you in this. But, by the way, he's got a release clause of 4 million Norwegian kroner, which is only about 250 grand. So that won't be an issue. But he started at Brentford. And Brentford are quite important in all of this, in understanding set-piece specialists and their involvement in the modern game. Because I can show you some stats at the end that show how important they're getting. Now, from Brentford, he went to Arsenal. And Andreas Georgson, he built a good reputation at Arsenal. Before he joined Arsenal, before he joined, you can see right there, they conceded 46% of their goals from set pieces last season, the highest in the league. Fast forward, they conceded what? The fewest in the league at that point in time. He made a real difference. But Andreas Georgson, he went to Malmo as sporting director. This is where it gets interesting when I say about Brentford links, because Arsenal then replaced him with Nicolas Jova, who was Manchester City's set-piece goalkeeping coach. Now, where do you think Man City got him from? Brentford. Jova and Georgson worked together at Brentford. Jova went to City, Georgson went to Arsenal, and then Jova ended up replacing him at Arsenal. And who are the best 2 teams at set pieces in the Premier League? It's Man City and it's Arsenal. Now, from Malmo, he came back to Southampton. And who brought him into Southampton? You guessed it. Director of Football, Jason Wilcox. And I think that's where the link to Manchester United has come from. It feels like a Jason Wilcox appointment, as well as a Dave Brailsford concept, really. Andreas has an excellent understanding of the game model we're building here, in which set pieces play an important role. He's an expert at what he does, and he truly eats, sleeps, and breathes set pieces. That's a crap diet. Needs to improve that. But anyway, at Southampton, bear in mind that he was only there he left in December to become Lillestrøm's actual full-time manager. Last season, Southampton only conceded 7 goals in the Championship. Literally the best team. They also scored 14th, which was the 6th highest. So the fundamentals that Georgson put in before he left clearly had a massive impact. And it's these sorts of, as I said, marginal gains that could make such a difference. This is him speaking about sort of, let's be honest, nobody wakes up and goes, you know what, Mum, I want to be a set-piece coach. So I want. It's like a Brazilian growing up wanting to be a defender, which I'm sure there are some of them. But surely for Brazilians, you want to be a flair attacker on the beach. I don't know. Anyway, not one kid wakes up, Mum, can you get me a dummy's guide to set pieces? That's what I want. But that's where he's positioned himself and become very good at it. And what I'm going to quickly do here is run through this article here from Total Football Analysis. Fantastic from them. And it will just give you a little bit of an insight maybe into what United fans could expect next season, because I say this quite a lot. Football develops and modernises so much. Different tactics, different styles, different formations, and it's difficult and it's complicated in and out of possession. Sure, yeah. A corner is still a corner. There's still blokes in the middle trying to hit the ball into a net from like 6 yards. Yet United have been crap at it. But here are some examples of how Georgson has helped Lillestrøm, who, by the way, have scored nearly 50% of their goals this season from set pieces. They are mid-table towards a relegation scrap. You can see the three zones here, right? That's going to be where people get flick-ons. Green zone is basically where you're aiming the ball and where you want your players to be. And the black zone is where players can, if they start their runs there, can go into the green zone with momentum. An example of it here. You can see the defender there is screening off, which means this player there can make the run round there and that player can make the run there. Whilst you've got two players here who are going to run into the yellow zone just in case the ball comes short and they need to flick it on, right? It might sound boring, but these sorts of... You see, United from set pieces didn't know what the world they were doing last season. So to actually have somebody take control of it will make a big difference. Here, apparently quite a characteristic of his set pieces now is he likes to block the goalkeeper, which I think everybody should do as a basic anyway, right? Another example here, so this one apparently is called the train, where you get one player, two players, three players, but ultimately that middle player is the one who can make that run into the green zone because the first player is blocking him and the third player is blocking it as well. You'll also notice the people on the edge of the box, which I'll speak about in a bit. That's an example there, the ball being flicked on in that yellow zone. But this, I think, in particular, should please United fans. All right? We were so crap on the transition last season. Somehow we turned corners into opportunities for the opposition. But apparently, Georgson likes to use... Georgson uses three players on the edge of the box. You've got your defensive midfielder here. So if United sign Ugarte, that would be Ugarte. And here are your two wide players. So that would be probably Marcus Rashford and Garnacho or Ahmad or whoever it is. The technical players who can either get a shot away or get the ball back into the box. That's the setup. And you can see the players over there at the front trying to look for the flick on. You can see the players over there with that train I was speaking about, trying to win the ball. But ultimately, this is where you want the corner to drop so the players can run into it or the players can flick onto it. I mean, it's quite basic. But on top of this, which I didn't actually think about, is technically a goal kick's a set piece. So you could well see, so this is something that's happened with Lillestrøm as well, the attacker dropping deep. So that could technically be Rasmus Højlund dropping deep. And then either winning the ball on or it just goes further, the ball being challenged by the furthest attacker, and then all of a sudden you've got a bit of an overload. All from a long ball over the top. I didn't actually think about that really. But yeah, technically, goal kicks are set pieces. So, Georgson strikes me, as I said, if you look back to the roots of Arsenal and Man City are the best two teams in the league, right? This here from the Devil's DNA on Twitter, big up to him. You can see the most effective team in terms of set piece expected goals and goals against. The biggest difference was Arsenal. They were the most effective. City was second. Brentford were third. Everton were fourth. And all of them had a dedicated set piece coach. United down here at the bottom. Nobody conceded more threat from corners than us. And Crystal Palace had more threat than us from set pieces last season. Fulham did. Awful. But there is a direct correlation between the top teams and having a set piece specialist in. And the top three teams are Arsenal, City, and Brentford. And I've just told you about it seems like Brentford were kind of ahead of the game, ahead of the curve. And you can see in terms of the curve, corners are becoming more threatening now than they ever have been. They are more directly involved in goals than they ever have been in the Premier League. And these sorts of marginal gains that you can see down here, right? This is the new setup, and you can add Andreas Georgson into that now. Is he going to be the person that takes Man United back to the Premier League title? No. Is he going to be somebody who might help United gain an extra somewhere between 5 and 10 goals across the course of the season in the Premier League from corners and set pieces? Yeah. Might he help United concede maybe a few less goals from set pieces? Yeah. And all of these things combined make United a better football club. And he really is. He kind of falls into the best in class in terms of set pieces, set piece specialist. And he's already experienced in a sporting director role at Malmo and also as a manager at Lillestrøm. I like the idea. I like the appointment. And I hope you've learned a thing or two about why United are after him. And yeah, it's just another example of Ineos really wanting the best possible support team for Erik ten Hag. And if this man can make a difference, bring a few more goals, and maybe earn some points, that takes United in the right direction.